welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving straight into getting your Native Instruments Maschine mk3 up and running.
Yeah.
Maybe you, our listener, you just got an mk3, or you're thinking about it, and you want to skip that initial, confusion.
Totally. Get straight to the fun part, making music. We looked at this really great tutorial from the Sound Test Room on YouTube.
Nice.
And we're going to basically pull out the essential first steps.
So you can just get going.
Exactly. Think of this as like your shortcut. We want to distill those key things from the video so you can power on and, well, start creating without getting too bogged down.
Yeah, avoid that frustration. Because the video, it covers a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Loads.
Things like pinning the mode buttons, we'll get into that, choke groups for drums,
Yeah.
Customizing colors, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, visually organizing.
Quantization, metronome stuff, tempo, swing, volume, note repeat. Oh, and just loading sounds, the basics.
It's quite a bit, but we'll break it down.
We will. The goal here is just to help you get hands-on fast, make it feel intuitive right from the start. Ready to jump in?
Let's do it. So first up, something really fundamental, the tutorial highlights, pinning those mode switches.
Okay, yeah, pinning. So when you first get your mk3, you press, say, the pattern button or scene or events, and they only stay lit up, like active, while you're holding them down. Let go, and it disappears.
Which is fine sometimes, but if you're trying to record or arrange, constantly holding a button, it's not ideal.
No, it breaks your flow.
Yeah.
Right. Forget finger fatigue. It's just awkward.
Absolutely. So pinning lets you keep those modes active. You can switch between, laying down a pattern, arranging scenes, tweaking events.
Seamlessly.
Yeah, without that interruption. And the tutorial shows it's actually super simple. You just hold the mode button, you want like scene,
Okay.
and then tap the button right above it. Boom, it's locked on.
Okay. So hold scene, tap the button above. Same for pattern and events.
Yep, same process. Hold the mode button, tap the one above it, locks it.
That makes so much sense. So once they're pinned, you can just tap them to switch between your scenes, patterns, events.
Right. Makes navigating while you build a track much, much smoother. And tapping the pin button again just toggles it off if you need to.
Simple. But you mentioned pad mode is different.
Yeah, pad mode is sort of its own thing, operates independently. Pinning really applies to those main workflow modes, scene, pattern, events.
Got it. Okay, so navigation sorted. Next up, sounds. Got to load something to play with.
Right. The tutorial points you to the browser section on the mk3.
The browser. Okay, that's like the library.
Pretty much, yeah. It's where everything lives. You've got categories like projects, groups, which are your kits.
Ah, groups or kits. Good to know.
Yeah. Then individual sounds, one-shots, instruments. But for getting started with a beat, you'll probably focus on groups.
Makes sense. Load a whole kit.
And there are a lot of kits. The tutorial mentions the Maschine library, and if you select all banks, I think the video said something like 955 kits.
Wow, 955. That's a lot to explore.
It is. Plenty to get started with. Whatever style you're into, you can filter it down to, like by earlier banks, or the 2.5 library if you know what you're looking for.
Okay, but how do you know what they sound like before you load them?
Ah, good question. That's the pre-hear function. Really important.
Pre-hear.
You hold down Shift, and you'll see pre light up on the display. Turn that on.
Shift, and is it a button press?
Yeah. Hold Shift, make sure pre is highlighted or activated.
Right.
Then, as you scroll through the groups, the kits, you'll hear a little preview.
Nice. So you can audition them.
Exactly. And to stop the preview, it's Shift and mute.
Shift plus mute. Okay.
And the tutorial really stresses this. If pre-hear isn't on, you won't hear anything when browsing, which can be super confusing if you're new.
Right. You'd think something was broken. So Shift, activate pre-hear first.
Definitely. Then browse, find a kit you like.
And then just hit load.
Well, almost. The tutorial does mention you can load patterns with the kit. Shift plus patterns, then load.
Ah, okay. If
Wow.
the kit comes with pre-made beats.
Exactly. But for today, since we're focusing on starting fresh, building our own stuff,
Right.
we'll just focus on loading the sounds. So yeah, find your kit using pre-hand, then just hit the load button.
And that puts the sounds onto the pads.
Yep. Puts them into pad mode, usually starting on group A. Your pads are now live with that kit.
Cool. So pads loaded.
Down.
Now, making them interact properly. You mentioned choke groups earlier.
Yes, choke groups. Classic drum machine technique. Really useful.
Yeah, I kind of get the concept. It's like one sound cuts off another one.
Precisely. The best example is always open and closed hi-hats.
Right, because on a real kit, you can't have both ringing out. Your foot closes the open one.
Exactly that. So a choke group mimics that physical reality. It stops sounds from overlapping unnaturally.
Makes things sound tighter, less muddy.
Totally. Especially with percussion. It adds that bit of realism and clarity. The tutorial shows how to set it up. First, get into pad mode.
Okay, press the pad mode button.
Right. Press it once for the main pad view, and press it again, and the displays above the pads show more details about the selected pad. Now, you select the pad with your open hi-hat sound. Look at the display, you'll see choke group, and it probably says none.
Right, default is none.
You touch that none label on the screen, and it gives you a list of group numbers. Choose one, like 1.
Okay, so open hat is now choke group 1.
Then you select the pad with your closed hi-hat sound. Do the same thing. Touch where it says none for choke group, and assign it to the same group, group 1.
Gotcha. Both hats in group 1.
And that's it. They're linked.
Right.
Now play the open hat, then hit the closed hat. The open hat sound will stop immediately.
Neat. Simple, but sounds really effective for clean drum programming.
It really is. Okay, moving on from sound behavior to, well, visuals. Customizing pad colors.
Ah, yeah, the fun part. Making it all cool.
It is fun, but it's also practical. Visual organization, you know?
True. Helps you remember where sounds are. So how do you do it? Still in pad mode?
Yep. Stay in pad mode. Remember pressing pad mode again brought up those displays? You might need to scroll through pages on those displays sometimes. It says like 1 of 2 or something. Find the page with the color settings.
Okay, find the color settings page.
From there, you can set a color for the entire group, like make all your drum sounds blue, maybe?
Okay, broad strokes.
Or you can get more specific, navigate to the sound settings within that pad mode display area, select an individual pad.
Like just the kick drum pad.
Exactly. Select that pad, and then you can choose a unique color just for that one sound.
Ah, okay. So you could color code different types of sounds.
Yeah, the tutorial gives an example like making your hi-hat pads red and maybe kick and snare yellow.
I can see how that would help, especially live or when you're just jamming quickly. You just glance down, see the color.
Definitely speeds things up once you get your system down.
Cool. Okay, so mode's pinned. Sounds loaded, choke groups set, pads looking pretty.
Yeah.
Time to actually make a beat, create a pattern.
Let's do it. For this, you'll want to go into pattern mode. Tap that button. Hopefully it's pinned now.
Ah, yes, pinned.
Now, when you start a brand new project in Maschine, it actually creates a first pattern and a scene for you automatically.
Oh, okay. So you don't start completely blank.
Not completely. And the tutorial makes a good point. Even though you're working on the hardware, it's probably smart to name your project in the software on your computer, just for file management later.
Good tip. Makes sense. So in pattern mode, what do we see?
You'll probably see the pattern length set to auto.
Auto length. What does that mean?
It means it could just keep recording, potentially for ages, like hundreds of bars sometimes.
Oh, okay. Probably don't want that for simple loop.
Probably not. So you can easily change that auto setting. Just turn the knob or use the buttons associated with the display and set it to a specific length, like say 4 bars.
4 bars. Okay, a standard loop length.
Exactly. And because pattern mode is pinned, you'll see that length displayed clearly.
Nice. And then you mentioned events mode for seeing the notes.
Yeah, it's helpful to switch over to events mode, especially when you're about to record or just after. It shows you the notes you play as little colored blocks on a timeline grid.
Ah, like a piano roll view, kind of.
Sort of, yeah. It's just a really clear visual representation of your performance. Makes editing easier later, too.
Okay, makes sense. So, ready to record. Need a click track, right? Metronome.
Definitely need a metronome. Quickest way on off is shift plus tap tempo.
Shift plus tap tempo. Easy enough.
But if you want more control volume, count in, that sort of thing, you got to dive into the settings menu.
Okay, settings, then where?
Go into settings, then find general. Inside general, there's a metronome section.
Got it.
And in there, you can toggle it on off again, but you can also adjust the metronome's volume level.
Oh, good. Sometimes they're too loud or quiet.
Exactly. And you can set the count-in duration, like 1 bar, 2 bars, or 4 bars before recording starts.
4 bars is good if you need a longer run-up.
Yeah. And the time signature is in there, too.
Yeah.
Usually defaults to 44.
Standard stuff. Okay, now, my timing isn't always perfect. Quantization.
Ah, yes. Quantization. Your timing's best friend sometimes.
Huh.
Yeah.
It snaps notes to the grid, right? Corrects mistakes.
That's the idea. It aligns your notes to the nearest beat or subdivision. Now, the tutorial mentioned there is a quantize mode in those metronome settings, so you could have it quantize as you record.
Right.
But the preference shown in the video, and honestly, a lot of people prefer this, is to keep that off during recording.
Why is that? To keep it sounding more human.
Exactly. Capture the natural feel first. You can always apply quantization after you've recorded.
Okay. How do you do that?
Super easy. Shift plus quantize. Just hit those two buttons.
Shift plus quantize.
Yeah.
And what happens then?
It usually gives you options, typically 50% or 100%.
100% is perfect timing. Dead on the grid.
Yep. Snaps everything perfectly. 50% is kind of a compromise. It nudges things closer to the grid, but keeps a bit more of that original human feel.
Interesting. So you can choose how strict you want it to be.
Right. It gives you control over how much feel versus perfection you want.
Okay, let's try recording something then. How do you start the recording?
The tutorial shows using Shift plus record. With the default count-in settings, that'll likely give you a 1-bar count-in.
Shift plus record. 1 bar count in, then lay down the beat.
Yep. Oh, and quick distinction. The play button starts from wherever the timeline cursor is.
Right.
But restart always jumps back to the very beginning of the pattern before playing. Useful difference.
Good to know. Restart for looping from the top.
Exactly. So you record your beat, maybe the timing's a bit shaky.
Lovely.
Then you hit Shift plus quantize, maybe choose 100% this first time.
And boom, tight beat.
Should be. You'll actually see the notes snap into place on the events display if you have that open. It's quite satisfying.
I bet.
Yeah.
What about recording more layers? Like adding hi-hats after the kick and snare?
You can just keep recording over the loop. Oh, and the tutorial mentioned a shortcut. Holding Shift while you press record gives you a longer 4-bar count-in.
Shift plus record gives 4 bars. Handy for overdubbing.
Yeah, gives you more time to prepare.
Cool. Now, what about that note repeat thing? That sounds interesting for rhythmic stuff.
Ah, no repeat. Yeah, this is a really fun one. Great for things like fast hi-hat patterns, snare rolls.
Like trap hi-hats.
Exactly, that kind of thing. You press the note repeat button, it lights up.
Okay.
And then whichever pad you hold down, its sound will repeat automatically based on a set rhythm.
Oh, so you don't have to manually tap out 16th notes.
Nope. You just hold the pad. And the cool part is you have controls right there. Knobs or touch strips, usually to change the rhythmic division, like 8th notes, 16th notes, 30 seconds, triplets.
In real time.
Yeah, you can change it on the fly. Super expressive.
That sounds powerful.
It is. And the tutorial briefly flashed the arpeggiator label under note repeat when Shift is held. That's a whole other level of rhythmic and melodic generation.
Another deep dive for another day.
Definitely. But sticking with note repeat, you can record with it active. So hold down your hi-hat pad, maybe set it to 16th notes, hit record.
And it records that stream of 16th notes.
Yep. And the mk3 is smart. It remembers your touches for each pad individually. So you can hold a hi-hat for 16ths, then maybe hold a snare for an 8th note roll later in the bar, all within the same recording pass.
Wow, okay. That opens up a lot of possibilities. How do you start recording with note repeat? Same way?
Pretty much. You can use Shift plus record for the count-in, or just hit play to get the pattern looping, activate note repeat, find your rhythm, and then hit record whenever you're ready to punch in.
Flexible. I like it.
It's a classic beat-making tool for a reason.
Okay, so we've covered recording, timing, cool, rhythmic stuff.
Yeah.
What about the overall basics? Tempo, swing, volume?
Right, the master controls, they have dedicated buttons, which is handy. There's a tempo button.
Okay.
Hit that. And you can use the main knob to dial in your project's BPM. You'll see the number on the display.
Simple enough. Adjust tempo on the fly.
Yep. And if you tap the tempo button again, it usually switches the knobs function to control swing.
Swing, to give it that groovy, less robotic feel.
Exactly. Adds that little rhythmic shuffle. And similarly, there's a dedicated volume button. Tap that. Use the knob to adjust the main output volume.
Master volume control.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the tutorial notes that for detailed mixing, like individual track levels, panning, you'd use the software or maybe the dedicated mixer mode on the hardware, which is, again, probably another topic. But for quick overall adjustments, those buttons are key.
Tempo, swing, volume. Got it. Essential global controls.
And then, crucially, after you've made some magic,
save. Don't forget to save.
Absolutely. The tutorial points out you do this via the software. File menu, then save. Standard stuff, but vital.
Always save your work. Good reminder.
And just one last little thing, the tutorial mentioned it flashed up. Keyboard mode.
Keyboard mode.
Yeah, another way to use the pads, presumably to play melodic parts like a keyboard. We focused entirely on pad mode for triggering drums and samples today.
But there's more to explore there, clearly.
Oh, definitely. The mk3 is deep. But what we've covered today should really get you going.
Okay, let's do a quick recap then. We talked about pinning the mode switches, scene, pattern, events, so you're not constantly holding them down.
Yep, workflow smoother.
Then loading sounds via the browser, focusing on groups for kits, and using pre-hear so you can actually hear them first.
Crucial step, that pre-hear.
Then setting up choke groups, especially for hi-hats, to make drum patterns sound tighter, more realistic.
Those things clashing.
Customizing pad colors, fun, but also useful for visually organizing your sounds.
Find things faster.
Creating a basic pattern, setting the length, maybe viewing it in events mode.
Getting the structure down.
Understanding the metronome on-off, count in, volume, and quantization for fixing timing, either 50% or 100% after recording.
Shift plus quantize for that.
And exploring note repeat for creating those cool, fast, rhythmic parts easily. Plus the basics: tempo, swing, volume controls.
That's a pretty solid foundation right there.
I think so too. These techniques really should smooth out that initial learning curve, get you past the hurdles.
Yeah, and straight into the creative part, which is the whole point. The mk3, it's really powerful. It can be simple if you want, or super complex. Mastering these first steps is kind of the key to unlocking all that.
Absolutely. So the best thing now is for you, the listener, to actually try this stuff. Get your hands on your mk3, pin those modes, load a kit, set up a choke group, play with colors, record a beat, try quantizing it, experiment with note repeat.
Feel how it works, hear the difference it makes. That's where the real learning happens.
It really is. Which brings us to a final thought, I guess.
Yeah.
Now that hopefully your initial setup feels a bit smoother and you've got these basic tools under your belt, what kind of sounds, what kind of music, what sonic landscapes are you going to start building with your mk3?
That's the exciting question, isn't it? What comes next now that the door's open? We'd love to know what people create.